super excited to bring you a conversation with my friend and soul care partner, Debra Joy Hart. She goes by the title of Joyologist, but really she's been a nurse for 30 years, and she goes by lots of other titles, including author, speaker, grief support person, minister, and even a clown. When she's not serving as the spiritual director here in Urbana for Unity Church and Spiritual Center, you might find her speaking around the world to colleges and universities and healthcare organizations and religious organizations and corporations. And she has such an infectious spirit and laughter and wit that I'm excited to share with you. I invite you to listen in on our conversation where we talk about the two-sided coin of grief and hope, and how humor can get you through these tough times. It's all about building your resilience and getting through the emotional turmoil that these times are bringing through us. And she'll talk about weaving laughter and humor, science and silliness into your world. So enjoy our conversation.
Hi, Deb. How are you?
Hey, Kelly. I'm good. I'm quarantined, and you?
I'm also quarantined.
Really?
So I'm broadcasting here from the middle of my dining room table.
Well, eventually, I know you don't live too far from me. I'm hoping you and a couple other people, we can meet eventually sometime, and you can enjoy our sunroom.
And I keep going over to Soul Care to water the plants and to sit in the space. And I'm just envisioning what the porch is going to look like when we can finally use it and everything. So, yeah. So what's your life been looking like in quarantine?
Yeah. Well, at first it was sort of weird, and I was sort of glad, and then it was weird. So it sort of bounced back and forth like that, a sleep schedule and all these things. And then today I thought, and I will tell you specifics in a second, but today I thought, wow, is it Tuesday? I couldn't figure out, I genuinely just couldn't, I had to really work in my brain. What day is it? And this is what a lot of people in long-term care go through. And a lot of people with Alzheimer's or dementia and in ICUs, you have no concept of time. You know, things get darker and things get brighter, but you don't. I mean, my husband doesn't go around and say, "Good morning, it's Tuesday." I mean, he doesn't do that, right?
That's why we either all need Alexa to do that and say, "Good morning, it's Tuesday," or we need those old-fashioned flip-off calendars where you can say.
I actually have one. That means you have to use it.
You do have to use it, yes.
So, what's it like? You know, at first, my anxiety was super high. And then it would settle down in a day. And then I went to the grocery store and I came home just ill. I admitted I'm one of those highly sensitive people, and I just felt everything. It just was uncomfortable. I mean, I was funny in the grocery stores, but I didn't feel very good when I came home because of anxiety.
Yes, as a recovering perfectionist, this has been actually a great opportunity for me to practice making progress instead of things being perfect and just putting one foot in front of the other. And even doing these video podcasts, old me would have been like, all the things are not exactly perfect, but new me is like, this needs to be out there, and it needs to be out there right now, warts and all. And that's where we need to be right now.
So it's sort of like affirming to non-micromanagers, it's going to be okay. See, I always knew it would be okay. And then it's affirming to, and a little scarier for people that want a little bit more control over things and worry about a lot of the details. So now, on both sides, you see me even rocking, because that's pretty much how I felt. Occasionally I would rock all the way over here during this last 6 weeks, and some I'd rock over here, but mostly I try to stay and accept that I'm going to be somewhere in here.
Yeah. Nope, that's a really good attitude to have. And I keep going, I'm like this. I'm up and down and up and down and up and down. And that's all we can do is just ride that wave and go back and forth and somehow try to find our middle.
It was a couple weeks ago, and I had had two major crisis calls, both involving family.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of me is like, okay, don't forget to breathe, Deb, breathe. And I was like this. And then there was something else. And then I knew I needed to write my talk for Sunday, right? It was going to be about mystics and supposed to be mystics in the New Testament, blah, 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 whatever. And I said to my husband, is it okay if I just pull the covers over my head? I want everything, I just want to be in my cocoon, and I literally just want a cocoon. I don't want to come out till I want to come out. And he goes, you think? And so he's very affirming, and he goes, I think you deserve it. I literally, just like I did when I was a little, you know, and there were monsters under the bed or whatever, I went, denial is my friend. And I just took the blanket over my head like this, and I sat quiet, and then I sort of laid down on the couch. Maybe I had a little something, I don't know, and I went to sleep. And, you know, I think all of us, and maybe it's different age groups, I don't know, and there's different temperaments. I think it's so important to take that time, give yourself permission, time out. Are we any different? I mean, under stress, people revert back to the way they are as children, or under stress, we do that. And then as adults, we think, oh, we should be bigger than this. No, we're experiencing this. Validate your own feelings. You know, that's so important to say, I'm grieving. I lost a lot.
Right.
Whether it's money, whether it's, I can't see the grandkids. That's driving me nuts. And their age group, they are so busy being everything to their kids right now. Not everybody can be as thoughtful or as put any more energy out for someone else. They're too busy, you know, engaging the children and doing this, and they don't have time for some Zoom calls. Maybe they do, or maybe they don't, but everybody's just coping the best way they can, and we deserve to cope.
Right. Now, it's interesting. You said that you asked your spouse whether that you could do that. And do you think that that's a natural thing to ask somebody else permission to kind of release?
I don't think we do it enough. We're too afraid. As you grow older and you've lived a certain way, you think, I need to, and I'll just throw out 15 things, right? Not really, but a few things. I need to be bigger than this. I should be stronger. I need to be an example for my family. I need to be, you know, I need to be strong for the kids. I need to do this. We have all these things that we've grown up with, maybe voices in our head, maybe voices from our past that sort of haunt us. Many of us, you know, we're told you shouldn't feel that way. However that comes out. People would say, why are you being so negative when you're grieving? Why are you being so angry when you're shocked? Why are you being so sensitive? What's wrong with you? So we all think there's something wrong with us when we're really pretty normal.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So one of the things you're kind of known for is bringing a sense of humor and laughter to some of these really heavy experiences in our lives. And so whether it's grief, whether it's sadness, whether it's stress, you bring just some lightness and a childlike sense of wonder And that's one of the things that I love about you, Deb. But talk about that, and talk about how, we don't need to be serious all the time when we're experiencing these heavy emotions.
Timing is everything, even for yourself. I was thinking of an example today when I had to amuse myself in a really hard time. My uncle had died, and he was my dad's best friend, and I had gone down to St. Louis many times to help his wife take care of him. He was rather portly and large. So here we are he was buried in a military service, okay? And he was cremated. And it was a really sad time. I'm feeling everybody. I mean, we're glad he didn't have to suffer too long, things like that. But as we were leaving, and we were leaving to go inter him in the little places they put the internment box, the cremains. And I turned to him, and it's like I could imagine inside my head saying, well, is there anything you want to say to him? And I looked at the box and I go, looks like you finally lost some weight, Now, I did not share that with people right then and there, right? There is a time to amuse yourself and share those feelings. And this is really the first time I've shared it out loud. And I think he's been gone 4 years or something like that. And there's a time not to. Who hasn't laughed at a funeral?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Who hasn't amused themselves in a fit of, well, maybe most people don't, but you have to be sort of very self-aware when amusing yourself. So with humor, you got to know your audience. If
Right.
I go to a funeral of people I don't know very well, I'm not making jokes up there. I'm keeping them to myself. As long as I still have that faculty, and I'm grateful.
So people right now, I feel like at this stage of the quarantine and pandemic, we've kind of passed out of the initial shock, the initial everything stopped and this is going to be a temporary thing. And now people, I think, are kind of pivoting and realizing that this might be a little bit longer, a little bit more drawn out. I think people are sick of being inside. I think they moved from, oh, let's make this a fun quarantine.
People were talking about quarantine and stuff beforehand, and the wave of COVID was just really hitting Illinois. The jokes changed on Facebook. There are not as many, and I'm usually scouring so that I can put that out there. And they sort of changed. They went from, we can laugh at this, to, ooh, just sort of like what you were saying, right? What coping mechanisms with humor? Well, one, I studied humor for 20-something years, and I'm what they call a certified humor professional. One of the things is humor can be a distraction. That's what Karen Buxman calls it. I call it like, can you get not only does it distract, but it gives you a different perspective. You have to be self-aware. And in that self-awareness, you know that there's tools. So how can you look at, how can you get some perspective? How can you distract yourself? I like the perspective in order to just get a different perspective. And if you notice on Facebook, I've been having people, I'm like, what's in your yard? And then I changed it to what's hidden in your yard, because we're not looking for perfect photographers. We're looking for people to get down or widen their scope. So it's simple. I mean, I was an art teacher. There's, with humor and in art, you look for perspectives. That's what it's based on. And you have to practice. It's a resilience thing. How do you practice perspective? Well, for me, it's going out, literally taking my camera, getting down really low and taking a picture, or seeing what's high up and widening my view. So you practice. You have to be willing. With humor, it's the setup.
Yeah.
It is. One, you got to be aware.
Uh-huh.
Two, you risk being absurd or putting out your perspective. One of the things I'm sort of known for is a 1-2 punch. I make people cry, and then I make them laugh. So, I mean, it's like, it's because I'm serious, not.
Right. And it's unexpected.
It's unexpected. So it's like a surprise.
Right.
Now everybody knows my tricks.
Oh, no. So what are some really practical things? I don't consider myself super funny. I have my moments, but I do appreciate humor, and I appreciate humor as a coping mechanism. So what are some really practical things that people can be doing to bring a little bit more humor in their lives?
One, be willing. If you're not willing, it's not going to work. Let's just say it straight up. But if you want to, sort of ask yourself, what makes you funny? What's your go-to funny?
Mm-hmm.
And what are some of the things? So you have access to tons of humor, right?
Right. I make my kids dance.
Oh, that's okay. And you probably go, psh, psh, dance, like an old-time Western. Yeah, I bet it works that way. So one, you have to look for funny.
Right.
You have to be open, and be open to it, and then look for the funny. Sometimes I see funny in nature. Like today we had 2 geese land in our yard, and I'm like, what? No, all I'm thinking is like they're gonna take over Crystal Lake Park, and we're gonna have geese poop all over our yard. And so I went out there. I said, "Shoo, we're gonna eat you! Get out of here!" And then they go squawking, and I think that is hilarious. Somebody else might say, "What are you doing to nature?"
Right. We are like Mutual of Omaha. So we like the Wild Kingdom. So we actually narrate the pond behind our house and the animals and what they're doing in funny voices. And sometimes it might be Snoop Dogg's voice, and sometimes it might be other voices, but we kind of like make up our own narratives about what's happening.
That works as a family.
Mm-hmm.
Carol, there's been these studies that both Seinfeld and Friends actually reduce your anxiety. And when I had surgery last June and I was, on the couch for an entire month, I noticed that, and I noticed how do they set up stuff. And a lot of their humor is both physical, almost a little slapsticky, and it's timed like that, they time it. Right? There's a lot of wordplay. There's wordplay, there's the absurd. So where are you looking for your humor? Some people love that they call it a pandemic. And is.
Right. We don't like those people though.
You don't like those?
We don't like the punny people.
And, I gotta tell you, I know that's not your cup of tea. It is mine and Daryl's. So when I'm with these people or I see them put something out, this is what happens. We try to outdo each other.
Yes.
And it is like friendly competition.
Oh, for sure. I have a friend like that. Yeah. He puts the best stuff out too.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I want to reiterate, if you want more humor in your life, you have to be willing, and you have to be looking for it. And I promise you, it'll come to you. And there's tons of stuff. Don't go to Facebook. The second part of that, I think people don't realize, is you have to stop what's not funny and causing you anxiety.
Right.
And for many, it's watching the news. And you can be on both sides of the aisle. It doesn't matter who you're for or who you're against. That is coming out more. Like, please don't bash XYZ person on my Facebook.
Right.
Or I gave them tons of warnings. And finally I said, I've asked you not to send me any of this.
Right.
It is too anxiety producing.
Right.
And they didn't honor my boundary lines. And finally I said, I wish you well. I know you're a good person. I wish you well with your family. And then I had to unfriend them.
Right.
And stop watching the news on both sides.
Right.
Stop it.
Right.
You're
So
gonna
set
get
those boundaries and filters and really give yourself a limited time where you're taking in negative or heavy things.
Yes.
And then open your eyes and find things that are lighter and humorous.
Yeah, I want to say, and you brought it up earlier, right now is a great time to start practicing, because more of the grief of what we've all lost, just like after 9/11, when things were done very differently in this country, we are now, and there's more losses coming.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, so finding that so that you're not tipped all the way one way or another,
helps you find your middle.
Humor helps. The physicality of laughter actually brings in, I need to say this, brings in an air breath. And then you have to breathe out. That's the physicality. It changes your brain chemistry. And that is so important to know. And there's many other benefits to laughing that people are not aware of. But it does change your physiology. And you want as much change physiology while you're going through grief, because the stress hormones, the fight or flight, the cortisol, really messes up your immune system, which you need in this time. You need your immune system. So you want to be aware of the stress, and you want to be aware of how you can alleviate that stress. So that's going to require a certain amount of awareness on your own part. So however you can say, okay, what's really going on?
Right.
You know, yeah. I do want to say that, and I jotted down some numbers. Can I?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
During this time of grief, and the waves of grief are going to be coming, and while people in death education and grief education right now are not really following Kubler-Ross's models, the bottom line is you will get angry and you will get depressed. How long it lasts, I don't know. You might even be in denial. These are great little jumping off parts. I think people who are not wearing masks and that I see around town, I think there's a certain amount of denial there at all parts. And I can't fix that.
Right.
However, with that, if you know someone or yourself needs some extra help, one of the smart things that happened in Illinois is there is a hotline you can text.
Oh,
and
wow.
So I'm going to give that number out, and it's called Calm for Calm. Text the word talk, text it to 55-2020. So when you put in the message, you're going to write talk, and you will get a call back or a text back.
So that's a 24/7 thing.
Yes.
And people will be manning the phones and receiving it, and they're there to just answer questions, provide a listening ear, a warm body that you can be talking to if you need it.
Yes, and at least texting. Now, if you want a voice, an actual voice right away, I have used this for decades. If it's 2:00 in the morning, and a lot of people's sleep habits, there's a lot of information out why they're all disrupted, including all the weird dreams. You can even Google weird dreams during COVID crisis. It'll give you information. So that when you wake up at 2:30 in the morning, oh my God, I feel so alone, or my family, or I can't go visit my uncle who's dying in the hospital of COVID. There is something called silent unity, and they answer, how may I pray with you?
Oh, wow. And you
And so,
don't have to be a certain faith to utilize
no.
that.
Anybody, any religion, any faith, it does not matter.
And you probably don't even have to believe in God if you don't.
No, atheists are welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Agnostics are welcome. It doesn't matter. But they say, how may I pray with you? Now, maybe an atheist won't pray like that.
Right.
However, if you need somebody to talk to, you can translate the word prayer into, let me be present with you.
Right.
Okay, how can I be present with you?
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to give that number out.
Yeah.
That is 1-800-669-7729. A lot of people say, how do you stay positive? How can you stay positive when it seems like the world is collapsing, or whatever words you want to use? When there is a crisis, sometimes being positive sounds like a platitude.
Yes.
Where is the sincerity in that? People that have cancer, oh God, I can't tell you how many people say, oh, you're going to be just fine. Or, my aunt had the same exact thing. Not. And she's just fine.
Right.
So one of the things I have changed that to, and I'm very consistent with this, don't ever think about being positive.
Mm-hmm.
You think about being present.
Right.
So if you have just received horrible news and you're feeling helpless, I'm here to tell you, you're not helpless. You need to take a breath, a rescue breath for yourself, and out. And then you listen. And you are not required to say anything except, oh man, wow, that is so hard. My heart goes out to you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you can be present by saying, I don't know what to do except send out good thoughts.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
I hear you.
Yes. Yeah.
And don't say I understand, because you don't.
Right.
You're not going through it. You don't understand it.
Even if you've been in that same situation.
Right. It's different.
Different. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. That's wonderful advice. Just being more affirming of each other, and listening, and not trying to fix or provide advice or make ourselves feel better because we're saying the right thing. I think when you're trying to make somebody else feel better, the best you can do is just listen.
Exactly. And I don't think I truly understood this. So as a nurse, it was so hard. And I would give advice, sane, practical advice, and then they wouldn't do it.
Right.
And then I get mad. People say, what would you do? How would you handle this? One, I don't know, is 80% of the correct answer, or B, 20%, I would try this.
Mm-hmm.
However it works out. Here's the thing I want people to take away from this. Don't worry if they don't take your very sound, practical advice, because there will be a crisis and they will have that opportunity again.
Right.
And that happens 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the best you can do.
Right. And sometimes people aren't even in the position to even hear what it is that you're saying.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's not even that they're it's like their radio is broken a little bit and they're getting static, and or the peanuts, wah, 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 wah. That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
That's when my husband tries to explain wires. I've been married to him almost 26 years, and he worked for the telephone company, and he'll tell me all this stuff. I'll go, oh, and oh, wow, yeah. If it's something I need to do, can we write it out? Can you show me? Oh, well, blah, 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 blah. And I tell him, here's what I'm really hearing. Arf, 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 arf. So.
Right. Yeah, no, and I think when people are going through crisis, and what we're going through right now is a crisis, and it's okay that we're in a crisis. But when people are going through crisis, they can't hear a whole lot, and really just being in listening mode and affirming what they're saying actually really helps them process that emotion through their body so that they can be in a position to hear advice or what the next steps should be for them.
You're giving them permission. Remember, way earlier in our conversation, I had to ask permission from Daryl. Is it okay that I just want to go like this?
Right. Right.
So give people permission to take that time so that they're not swinging back and forth, that they can sort of find their own inner rope to hold on to, their anchor.
Right. Oh, really, really good stuff, Deb. So, is there any other, you gave some really good the hotline stuff that you shared, but is there any other good resources or practices that you would advise people to do right now?
Yes. So as far as practices, I advise people to look for the funny, see funny. Talk to people that don't make you real anxious. Listen to people who don't make you anxious. And if you don't know what anxious is, if you're starting to get angry, maybe you shouldn't be talking to that person. It's not helping you, and it's not helping them. If you're not in a position to hear that, that's some suggestion. I know I'll be doing stuff with ritual. What are your new rituals? I gotta tell you, my new ritual is, and I didn't used to do this. I had coffee and I'd make French press or I'd make a little Melita 5 out of 7 days a week, or by me or my husband. The coffee pot is set up for me so I can come down still in my fog and hit a button. Wow. Never did that before the COVID crisis, unless company came.
Right.
If company was here and I go, well, I'm going to be hanging out here, so I'm company. You know?
Right.
And so that in itself has become a loving ritual when my husband sets it up. He doesn't drink coffee. He just sets it up for me.
Oh.
So, I know, 26 years, he's never done that. And so I'm like, in fact, I said, when we're out moving around more, are you never going to set up the coffee?
Because I like that.
Yeah, I really love it. I praise him all the time, mostly to manipulate him to do this again. But
exactly,
he won't be watching this video. So, so that's one. So, what are the little practices that you can do? Although it's been a joke all over, and I know many of us, not everyone, but many of us are overeating and doing that. It's like, it's not the 5 pounds between Thanksgiving and Christmas now, when you know there's an ending. Now it's more.
COVID-15.
COVID-15, yeah, freshman 15. So another thing is, what can you do that's healthy for yourself to get your day going? So I mentioned the coffee, and while I've made it a joke, you know, I'm dressed up for the day if I have clean underwear and a bra on. And people, what do the men do? Can you get out of your sweats? I think about Jimmy Fallon. He's doing a show every night, right? Or Stephen Colbert, they got it, like, they're still working.
Yeah.
And so what can you do to still keep up a little bit of a routine? And the other thing, if wherever you are now, I know it's harder in apartment buildings and things like that, but if you're not in an apartment building or you have access to the outside with a mask, go outside, go look at some grass, just something that's growing outside of your house.
Right.
These are healthy things. And listen, once again, to things that make you feel good, not things that produce more anxiety.
Right.
And if people can afford to get pickup at a grocery store, do that. Or if you can live without, or how creative can you be? And so there's tons of things people can do. Will they? You got to want to. You can't be willfully.
Right.
Willful.
You have to take action. You have to take action. And
You
pick
do.
something. I mean, you've given a lot of really good ideas and small things, and even if you just do one, don't feel like you need to be doing it all.
Productive.
Productive, and this isn't a contest, but I think if you just do one small thing, and maybe try a different one every day and see what makes you feel the best, I think all of those things have the opportunity to help you.
They do. If you're a praying person, take a minute to say thank you, God, in advance.
Right.
Or good night, God. Hello, moon. Good night.
Right.
Hello, moon. Good night, sun. Hello, sun. Good night, moon. Those kind of things. Whatever makes you feel connected in a bigger way. And if your kids aren't writing you, why don't you write your kids? Stop waiting on principal.
Right.
Go ahead and reach out. Send some good juju, good vibes, good words. Just a hello. I've been hearing from all sorts of people I never heard from before.
And isn't that wonderful? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. And just, check on people, check on each other. It's really difficult if you haven't taken care of your own needs first.
Yes. Yeah.
And so my sister-in-law just did a great video on for her healthcare system about putting on your mask, personal space. But one of the things, and she was on the front lines of the Ebola virus. And so, I trust her and her experiences. One of the things she talks about is self-leadership. Are you taking care of yourself as the leader of yourself?
Right. Yeah.
And how do you contain yourself? How do you do self-leadership? Do you need to eat something before you start with like 10 Zoom calls? Then you need to eat. Do you need to take your medicine? Do you need to make yourself another cup of coffee? Do you need an extra long bathroom break? Whatever the case is, are you doing it?
Yeah. And are you parenting yourself? I think we had that conversation about parenting yourself. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, these were all fabulous ideas. If somebody wants to learn more about you and the work that you do, even outside of the pandemic, where can people find you online?
Well, right now they can, one, I have a TEDx talk, so you can Google my name, and it's all about resilience. It's like a 3P practice. And so you can Google my name, Debra Joy Hart. Okay. Number two, I have very little political. I have some other agendas I might put on, because I worked as an AIDS nurse and I work with HIV and stuff. So, but you will not find political stuff on my Facebook page. They just have to also send me a little note that says, so I know I'm not hacked.
Right.
Hey, I heard you on the video. So Debra Joy Hart is my Facebook page. They can go to my website and send me some questions. That is debrajoyhart.com.
Great. Great. And
So
I'll share all that stuff as well in writing with the links and everything.
one more place for uplifting, spiritually uplifting. And if you don't want to talk about spirit, just good-hearted stuff. You can go to, I am the spiritual administrator at Unity Church, and that's an ampersand, Spiritual Center. We're located in Urbana, Illinois. For now, there's going to be services online, and so they can go to that page. There's the Daily Word, there's Unity, there's all sorts of stuff, just like the hotline. So that is another great place to go, Unity Church and Spiritual Center. And all I have to do is like it and be part and join that little group.
Good. And you can see Deb's pretty short mini services on Sunday, and they're only 20, 30 minutes. So
30 minutes. You know, that includes the announcements. Maybe they go 5 minutes longer, but you know, some things happen. And yeah, and those will be broadcasting starting this week from Unity Church and Spiritual Center.
wonderful.
And then I usually will copy it or share it later on my page. So those are all great things. I have a lot of humor, as I say, a lot of humor, a little bit of sarcasm, lots of joyful, inspiring things, and a lot of silliness on my Facebook page.
Good. No, that's awesome. And Deb brings me a smile almost every day online. I really appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to the day when I can actually see her again and we can have coffee together and have a whole lot more laughs together. So thanks so much, Deb. We've really enjoyed talking with you and look forward to hearing more from you and following you on Unity. And I just really appreciate your warmth and your insight and your soul. So thanks so much, Deb.
Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. Bye-bye.
Bye.